everybody, and welcome back to Death Holler. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me as always is my co-host, La Urena, and this episode of April's Fool's Day for the Zombie Edition is covering Zombieland from 2009. Tagline, welcome to Zombieland.
I like it. I mean, yeah.
It describes, basically it's an introduction to the world. Directed by Ruben Fleischer, written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, music by David Sardi, made for a budget of $23.6 million. If you remember on the World War Z podcast that we did, this previously was the highest grossing zombie movie of all time prior to World War Z. It made a whopping $102.4 million on that budget of $23.6.
That's not bad. In Zombieland, I forgot what that was, but they had a higher budget.
World War Z, yeah, they had a huge budget.
And then they did okay.
They made like 150 million, so they made half again than what this movie did. But their budget, I want to say, was like 60 million or something. So they amped it up, on both sides.
And one movie scarier than the other. Don't want to spoil, but
one movie is definitely more enjoyable than the other. I don't want to spoil that either.
Well, yeah, and two of those are in the same movie.
Yeah.
Scarier and more enjoyable.
Exactly. Principal players, we have Jesse Eisenberg playing Columbus, the survivor with the rules. He's got a rule for about everything, and it's keeping him alive, kudos to him. Jesse Eisenberg's been in movies like Justice League, Batman v Superman. Speaking of which, he's a terrible Lex Luthor.
Yes, we did mention.
Going back to Zack Snyder, because there is the connection here between that and Dawn of the Dead, he really picked bad. I liked his picks for Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, but his Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg did not pull the part off.
He didn't, and it's sad because I don't think that Jesse Eisenberg is a bad actor by any means, and I do respect the fact that he's trying to explore something different.
Yes.
So he does get that from me. Like, I will give him an E for effort is what it's called, or
or for everyone, depending upon your
rated E for everyone. He is rated E for everyone because he's been in a movie called Rio, which is not listed. I know you're going to go through some more.
Yeah,
but he was in Rio, and I'm sorry, but when he was narrating his scenes for his little recaps for Zombieland, I could not help but hear that cute little adorable blue bird talking to me about zombies, and I 100% that is the truth.
Well, I'm glad that you can see it that way because he to me is always going to be Columbus because this is the movie that really stood out for me.
Yeah.
With him in it.
Well, this is my first time watching this in its entirety.
Yeah, exactly. So I get that. He was in Adventureland, which is funny given the name. Yeah. Similar to this, and it's about I want to say it's about a rundown theme park during the summer in like 90s or something. Which this is about a rundown theme park.
I wouldn't say this is rundown. It's just abandoned.
Well, it's abandoned, because it's actually it still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Now You See Me 1 and 2. I never saw the second one. The first one was actually pretty good about those stage magicians that plan like a robbery a la Ocean's 11.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Vivarium, which I've discussed before, which is a real life horror movie. Zombieland Double Tap, obviously, came back for the sequel. He was in a werewolf movie from the late 90s called Cursed, that was written by, or at least directed by Wes Craven.
I remember liking that movie.
Christina Ricci was also in that.
Okay. I remember, yeah.
And a movie called Camp Hell, which is, I've never seen it, but the way it looked, it was almost like it was either a human horror or a slasher movie. So Woody Harrelson plays Tallahassee, the most badass zombie slayer to ever exist. He was in The People versus Larry Flint. The Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Both of those movies are good. The Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri is actually a very well done, like thriller, neo-noir drama type movie. Natural Born Killers, White Men Can't Jump, Cheers, the TV show. That's where a lot of older people remember him from.
Yeah.
Kingpin, which I love that fucking movie.
That's the best movie. I love that movie.
And Bill Murray's also in that movie.
Oh, yeah, he is. I forgot because, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump so far ahead, but I have to right now. Him and Bill Murray, their on-screen presence together, they have chemistry.
They really do have chemistry, and I don't know if it's because they build it up during Kingpin, which where they hate each other with the utmost passion, or if it's just the fact that they get along so well in real life. But I think their humor is similar between the two of them.
They got like a dry humor.
It's not quite British dry, but it's on the drier side.
Do you think Bill Murray was playing himself in Kingpin?
It is very close to how some people have depicted Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's a weird one because there's stories of him, which we've mentioned before, I think during the Ghostbusters podcast, where he hangs out with like just regular folks. He'll show up randomly. He like dotes on the people. He like treats them to the nines and just disappears. But then like in the movies he works on, which we discussed during Scrooged, he's an ass to everybody in the movie. Like he's a diva that wants, like, you have to have his own towels the right way. The reason why we never got a official third Ghostbusters movie before Harold Ramis died was because him and Harold Ramis had like such a falling out over Groundhog Day that they never spoke to one another until literally Harold Ramis was on his deathbed, and I think Bill Murray showed up for that. And they were best of friends before all that happened.
That's fucking wild. And that was a tangent, but I'm sorry. Like, I could not deny how their chemistry was on. Even, what's her name? Emma Stone was in that scene. She wasn't anywhere to be seen in that scene. She was there.
And if you can't see Emma Stone, especially how she looks in this movie in a scene, that means that the other characters are stealing the show.
They are, absolutely. And they brought back to her, and I was like, can we just not? Like... She feels so unnatural, but also to her credit, in that scene, it did feel like she was meeting him for the first time. So
it was like she was meeting for the first time, and she was also starstruck.
Yes,
and I mean,
I wonder
which Woody Harrelson's character Tallahassee was too, but he's just so out there about it, you know. He's also in True Detective season 1, which is one of the, I will mark that down as the best season of a television show. Period. I mean, people can say what they want to about Breaking Bad, but if True Detective season 1 has a combination of like drama and horror that like is the best that I've ever seen. Him and Matthew McConaughey just they click so well in that season.
Well, they're very similar. Did they play brothers in this film? Or series? I'm sorry.
They don't, but it's funny because they've been in like 3 different productions together, 2 movies and then 1 TV series, and they are so similar to one another in ways that it's crazy.
They are, but they aren't. Like, they look completely different, but...
Oh, well, you know what the funny thing is there's a trivia about that says they're actually related. Like, they looked up because there was a joke made about the 2 of them that they could be brothers, or at the very least cousins. And I want to say that Matthew McConaughey looked it up, and they do share an ancestor.
Oh, my God. Of course they do.
He was also in Venom, part 1 and part 2, Let There Be Carnage. He was really good in the small scene they showed him at the end of the first Venom, but I feel like Venom Maximum Carnage, or just Venom Let There Be Carnage, I should say. Maximum Carnage was actually a really good comic series. I felt like it was a bit of a letdown as far as the Venom series goes. And now they're talking about doing a part 3, and I don't even know if I care about that.
Yeah.
Superhero movies are kind of done right now, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And Zombieland Double Tap, obviously he came back for the sequel as well. Emma Stone plays Wichita, the hot con artist in the movie. She was in a movie called Easy A. Don't know if you ever saw that one. It was a comedy, a high school teenage comedy. Really good in that. She got her start in Superbad, so she was in comedies even back then.
Yeah.
She played the hot girl in that movie. She's in Poor Things most recently. I think she actually won an Academy Award for that.
Movie.
That movie's fucking insane.
Yeah.
La La Land. She was in Cruella.
I liked her in Cruella.
I liked her in Cruella too. There's a lot of people shitting on that movie, and I get it. It actually personified Disney's going back and retroactively making like very terrible like villains into like, well, they're actually just misunderstood, people who have good intentions type bullshit. It's like we can't have villains anymore, which is a weird thing, but I think she did a good job in Cruella.
I think they still made her a villain though. They didn't make her any less of a good or any less of a bad person.
They gave her a reason for being
Yes.
terrible, which some people got pissed off about. But I feel like, and linking it in the fact, like something about her family got tore up by like Dalmatians, or her mother at least did, and that's the reason she hates them. But I don't hate it. I thought the movie was actually one of Disney's the recent stream of movies was actually pretty good. Pop Star Never Stop Popping.
What the hell?
That's with Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
You know, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Speaking of, I mean, most of the cast has been in, obviously these first three have all been in superhero movies.
Yeah.
Abigail Breslin's the only one who's not been in any of those. And then she was in an episode of Medium, and obviously she came back for the sequel, Double Tap. Abigail Breslin, mentioning her, plays Little Rock, the kid that just wants to see Pacific Playland.
I don't know how. I mean, I get like when she was like, well, it's been so long since she got to be a little girl, but you're the reason she didn't get to be a little girl. And now the world's come to an end, and she probably shouldn't be a little girl.
That's true. It's like Wichita. I mean, well, now there was the hint that their parents wasn't in the mix, but like her sister never actually went out of her way to make her have like a childhood. And now that the zombie apocalypse is going on, it's the wrong time to try to recapture that.
Yeah.
She got her start in Little Miss Sunshine. She was in the movie Signs. She's in Scream Queens, and she's great in that TV series that will be covered when we go back to slashers at some point in the distant future. Fear Incorporated. She's in Maggie, which is another zombie movie where she's Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter, and he's watching her slowly turn into a zombie and then have to deal with it. Very much a drama more than it is a horror movie. I can see why Noah said you might not like that one. She was in a movie called Final Girl, which I think is that movie that we mentioned during The Final Girls, that Alexander, whatever his name is, the tall blonde haired guy in Final Girls. I think this is the movie that he did the same year that he did Final Girls.
That's hella funny.
Like, yeah. She was in the movie The Call, and she was also in a movie more recently called Slayers, which is about like vampires and social media influencers getting attacked by them, which is an interesting concept, but the movie has a bad rating. So Amber Turd is in this movie. She plays 406. She's the hot girl who becomes a psycho overnight, which makes me wonder, was she acting?
Probably not. I think she already had the experience. At least it was underlying, and she was showing us who she was back then.
Here's my question. Do you think Johnny Depp can even watch this movie, or do you think it gives him PTSD when he sees her suddenly go psychotic, while she's laying on top of Columbus?
He probably gets a little PTSD.
And Bill Murray plays himself. But who's Bill Murray? Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Synopsis. After patient Zero eats a tainted burger and contracts a mutated version of mad cow disease, the world becomes overrun by fast-moving cannibalistic zombies, or infected humans, if you're keeping count.
Yeah.
Our hero, Columbus, is a nervous and neurotic college student who is trying to find his way back home to Ohio to see if his parents are still alive. Along the way, he meets Tallahassee, the zombie-killing madman that loves him some Twinkies, Wichita, the hot girl who was running cons long before the apocalypse, and Little Rock, Wichita's little sister that's never been to a theme park. Cardio is your friend. Always remember to double tap, and do be a hero. It's time to nut up or shut up.
So dumb.
Other taglines. Our land is their land.
That's funny.
A ton of fun with exclamation mark. No, it's awful. You might be pulseless. You might be a pulseless zombie if you don't get a kick out of this film.
That's dumb.
Superbad meets Shaun of the Dead.
No.
This place is so dead.
That could work.
It could. It's all right. Survival rule number 21: avoid strip clubs.
What?
Survival rule number 28: get a kick-ass partner.
Okay.
Survival rule number 4: don't be a hero.
Okay.
Survival rule number 1: cardio.
No.
A comedy that kills.
Yes.
Quotes, and there's plenty of these. Columbus: the first rule of Zombieland: cardio. When the zombie outbreak first hit, the first to go for obvious reasons were the fatties. Tallahassee: time to nut up or shut up.
Oh yeah.
Tallahassee, here's the deal. I'm not easy to get along with, and I'm sensing you're a bit of a bitch.
Yes.
Columbus, are you one of those guys that tries to one up everybody else's story? I love this line. And Tallahassee's like, no, I know a guy that's way worse than that at me, or at that than me. Yeah. But he keeps like every story. It's like he knows something. He's talking about that line about how he saw a zombie kill where the zombie was like ran over by the steamroller or whatever, and like with a tube of toothpaste.
And his head was the cap.
Yeah, his head was the cap. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump to something real quick. Like Eisenberg, like Jesse is so good at like little lines, like him, like it adds so much to his character that he says in that line, of course, I always roll from the end. It's like, you would, Columbus, you would. Like, I mean, that just fits his character, the way he says it too. It's like obvious. Any smart person does this.
Yeah.
Little Rock, who's Bill Murray? Tallahassee is. I love this line. I've never hit a kid before. I mean, that's like asking who Gandhi is. And then Little Rock's like, who's Gandhi?
Yeah. And then her sister, she's 12.
She's 12. Leave her alone.
It has nothing to do with her being 12. She's 12 and she's running cons. So how about just say this? Just be like, you know what? Instead of being in school, we were fucking hustling. So
yeah. Every day we're hustling. Tallahassee, I'm not great at farewells, so that'll do, pig.
I love that.
Columbus is like, that's the worst goodbye I've ever heard, and you stole it from a movie. Tallahassee, I'm not going to say all this because he's like geeking out over Bill Murray, but my favorite things are the things that are in there. He's like, I mean, you probably get this all the time. Well, maybe not lately because the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. Then at the end of it, he's like, I know you're in the, I know he's like 6 people left in the world and one of them is Bill fucking Murray. I know that's not your middle name. I've been watching you since I was like, since I could masturbate. I mean, not that they're connected.
Bill fucking Murray. I don't know where Bill fucking Murray came from. If it was like the Chive, which is around 2000, when he totally let them use his likeness on their shirts. So they sell BFC shirts, and he's like, I just want you to pay for me to go golfing. And they do. To this day, they pay for him to go golfing.
Which he mentions that's what he does in the zombie apocalypse is he goes to the Riviera and goes golfing.
Yeah.
I've got the line in here in a minute. Tallahassee, when it discovers the hostess truck filled with the snowballs. Snowballs? Where's the fucking Twinkies? And the Columbus is like, I like snowballs. And I love this line from Tallahassee because I hear this so much from people that hate coconut. He's like, I hate coconut. It's not the taste, it's the consistency.
I fucking hate snowballs. I would kill for a fucking Twinkie, like for sure. When Twinkies went out for a while, I have the Facebook post to fucking prove it. I was devastated.
There was a lot of people that were upset over that. And the funny thing is they bring it back up again whenever they're watching Ghostbusters because Twinkies are in Ghostbusters, you know. Oh my Remember? God. There's that line that they even show Ernie Hudson saying, he's like, that's a big fucking Twinkie, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Tallahassee to Columbus. You're thinking about fucking Wichita. And then Columbus, you know, Eisenberg doing like, no, like type of reaction. And Tallahassee's like, hey, wish granted. She spent the last 24 hours fucking us both.
And she was. I mean.
Yeah. Columbus to Tallahassee. You're like a giant cock-blocking robot, like developed in a secret fucking government lab. And he's not wrong because he was that close to getting with Wichita. And then he's like, hey, you want to build a fort? You know? And
yeah. Like, we got to move a couch. We got to build a fort. Like, what the fuck?
Tallahassee, in response to talk about Pacific Playland, that place totally blows. The Little Rock and Wichita shoot Tallahassee, angry looks, and he's like, my mind, just fun for the whole family. I like it. It's the perfect delivery of how he says it.
Yeah.
And then later when he's so mad at her, he's like, no, I'm not going to go Pacific Playland and play with you. Yeah. Like the way he says it, I love it.
I'm not going to play with you at Pacific Playland.
Columbus sprays Tallahassee with perfume, but he turns around. Jesse Eisenberg perfectly. It's like, okay, let me begin by my 3-part apology by saying that I think you're a wonderful human with great potential. And then Tallahassee's like, it's okay, but FYI, I beat wholesale ass for a lot less than that. Columbus to an exasperated Little Rock. Oh, this is so exciting. You're about to learn who you're going to call. It's Ghostbusters. Bill Murray. Oh, I do it to blend in. You know, zombies don't mess with other zombies. Buddy of mine, makeup guy, he showed me how to do this. Cornstarch, you know, some berries, a little licorice for the ladies. Suits my lifestyle. You know, I like to get out and do stuff. Just play 9 holes at the Riviera. Just walked on. Nobody there.
Fucking shit.
Columbus, and this is how the movie ends. So until next time, remember, cardio, seatbelts, and this really has nothing to do with anything, but a little sunscreen never hurt anybody. I'm Columbus, Ohio, from Zombieland, saying good night.
A little sunscreen never hurt anyone, and he's right. if anything, no sunscreen has hurt somebody.
Yeah, it's hurt a lot of people. I mean, it's not a friend. The sun is not a friend to gingers. I'll just say that. All right, visuals. This movie, between the slow motion intro that is iconic. I mean, especially with that Metallica song playing, to the way that the zombies are made up, which I mentioned to you off air, reminds me a lot of the Dawn of the Dead zombies, and just like how their faces are and like the blood and stuff around them and just the look of the zombie apocalypse. Because here's something I didn't realize. I was watching the scene where Columbus meets Tallahassee the first time on that broken down highway, the interstate, you know, and they even have like a plane that's broken in half on part of it. Looks amazing.
Yeah.
But that road, I was like, this looks like that scene in The Walking Dead where they lose Sophia, when they all try to get like when the big RV breaks down and they all have to get they have to hide from the zombie horde underneath the cars. That's because that is the place where they filmed that in The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead filmed it there after this movie, I think is what they said.
Oh, yeah. It was filmed in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's where Walking Dead was filmed?
In the same exact locations in some scenes. So, I mean...
Is this like a highway that is not really in use?
Shut down? Or that's what I'm thinking. It's like maybe shut down and not used or something.
Okay.
But it looks so similar, and I'm like, this looks like the walk. And it's because it was. It's
got the same skyline too.
Yeah. So they nail the apocalyptic look. They just do. I mean, and the look of the gore. Now it does catch a lot of shit from fans because all the blood in it with the blood splatters are CGI. There's no fake blood. You know, like the corn syrup, whatever that they use. There's none of that in the movie. It's all CGI blood, and I do get that. But whenever they have the zombies being killed, like a lot of the zombie deaths are pretty good in this movie.
I think they are, and the CGI blood did not bother me. Now, in other movies, yes, it's a little bit much, but there was a lot of CGI in this film. It was made to look like an action film. It was almost made to look like an action hero film.
Yeah, and that's what it reminds me of more than if I was going to say anything about the horror comedy aspect, and I mentioned it during Shaun of the Dead, is that the horror elements are a little bit more downplayed because you get more of the comedy and the action is there more in this movie. Especially in the scene. Now, there are certain scenes like when Columbus is moving through the little haunted house that's inside of the abandoned, Pacific Playland. Where like there is some genuinely creepy scenes. Like, I mean, you're like, whenever I jumped, even whenever I just rewatched it last night, when that ghost like jumps out at him, because like, even though it's part of the house, the way it screams, it sounds like one of the zombies.
Yes.
And then later a real zombie woman breaks through a wall and comes after him.
Yeah. That is one of the things that bothered me, is all the zombies had the same exact scream or sound effect.
That is true. There's no like real difference to them. It's
like they use the same one. That's one of the main complaints I have of this film.
I could agree with that. But otherwise, I mean, like, and even like the look of the zombies getting smashed by, which is obviously CGI, but getting smashed with that one boat ride that they have when Columbus jumps over and the three run after him, looks good. The scene where the zombies keep falling off of the elevator ride that Wichita and Little Rock are on. Yeah. Looks really good. Like, I have no complaints about the visuals in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even the CGI blood does not bother me. I think the lighting in this film was amazing. I think the clarity of the film was amazing. I think the setup of the film, like the setup of the scenes, like... And the scenes, the way everything's set up is scary, even when there's absolutely nothing scary going on. Case in point, when they find the yellow Humvee.
Yeah, because even the hands are sitting there, and you're waiting for a zombie to be there in that seat.
Waiting for a zombie, or not only that, but they are really, Tallahassee is acting very recklessly. He does that a lot, and I'm like, would you quit fucking making so much motherfucking noise? You don't know where you're at. You guys are walking out in the open, which I think they established pretty well that you kind of can walk out in the open. Don't want to do that in the city of Los Angeles where the population,
there's lots of them.
Yes, is fucking wild. But for the most part, I would say that, that scene, I was so on edge because I was like, fucking quit shooting those, quit wasting bullets, quit drawing attention to you. It was a good scene.
Now, see, I could see a zombie purist like getting mad because I thought the same thing, especially when he finds the Uzis and he starts like shooting them into the air. But you got to remember, he gets bored of just like shooting the zombies, so he likes to kill them with other things. So
That's
like
true.
guns don't necessarily, and he's got his favorite gun anyways, which is that awesome pump action shotgun that he's got. So he doesn't really care if he has like super duper like Uzis or anything.
Oh, he doesn't. And he doesn't care about most weapons because I see that he's just wasting weapons. Like he's in the fucking grocery store and he's just uses a weapon one time, throws it to the ground. And I'm like, are we fucking kidding right now? Keep that shit.
He likes a little variety in his life, okay? I mean, he had that little pup named Buck that, that he lost, and he's just ready to move on.
A pup that turned out not to be a pup.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with you. Like the way that they set up, like just some of the scenes, like it looks really good, and the lighting is well done in a lot of cases.
Ooh, the darkness too.
What was that?
The darkness as well. The darkness was perfection in this film because
it
was dark, but you could see what was happening.
Well, like that scene at the beginning where Columbus is by himself in that parking lot and he's getting ready to go to the bathroom. It's lit perfectly. It's dark enough to where you can't tell what's going on outside of his immediate view, which is exactly what you want it to be because you're with Columbus. He can't see everything.
Yeah. I still can't believe that weak ass little kid has survived this long. And I know it's the rules that have kept him alive, but I'm like, Jesus.
But going back to something that I just reminded about Tallahassee, it is right that he's reckless, but at the same time, he's so fucking smart because he always makes sounds like, whenever he comes into a place to draw them out.
Yes,
so like
which makes sense.
Yeah. And by the way, this is in the trivia, but when he plays, dueling banjos on the banjo, he actually took the time to learn how to play that, and it was really him playing
I figured as much. And it was just a couple of strums, but hey, fucking good job, dude. I would have wanted to learn it too.
And they were filming in Georgia, which is hilarious because that's where Deliverance was actually filmed at.
Oh my God.
Even though it was supposed to be in Texas where they were initially at the time, but
yeah,
which I
thought they were weren't they originally heading east? But then, of course, the girls rerouted them to fucking Paradise Pier or whatever.
They were in a part of Texas because Texas goes on forever.
Yes. Oh well.
We meet Columbus in Garland. He loses his car there, so he's on the highway outside of that, and they're still in Texas at the grocery store when the girls steal their shit and start going back west. So
okay, and so they were heading east, but then they got rerouted.
Yeah, but that line at the beginning of it, which just kind of goes into the story, the screenwriting, the comedy is so well written in this movie. Like just the little lines in it, which the one line Columbus, and I could see, and that's what I was getting at with Shaun of the Dead. The show don't tell kind of gets broken a little bit because Columbus does narrate, but he does it in such a way that I can forgive it because it's hilarious. Like he's sitting there and he's like, "This is me. I'm Columbus," or I'm in Garland, Texas, or whatever. It's like that's not because we're in the zombie apocalypse. That's just how Garland always looked. Little lines like that are hilarious.
Yeah, and it's not just the writing though; it's the delivery and the actors. The actors and the directing was on point.
The weakest link as far as the comedic elements is Abigail Breslin.
Yes. But Emma, she's a little girl.
Yeah, true. But Emma, Woody and Jesse, they're so good at comedy. Like they interact off one another so well. And I got the feeling from this movie, and in the second one as well, but especially this one, that they were probably having fun, with each other off set or off camera in between scenes, just because of how long how well they got along. And he says exactly that on the like behind the scenes, because I was listening to it, and he said if you were coming to work feeling down, he said you wouldn't be that way for long. He said we would crack each other up at some point on set.
Oh yeah, and that's how it should be.
I mean, so and I think I've got this in the trivia, but they made a joke, but I think they actually mean it, and I think it's attributed to Emma saying this, that since it took them 10 years to make Double Tap, that they're just going to keep doing these movies every 10 years, which is actually cool. That's actually not stupid, because that gives time. I mean, everything operates in cycles. So when they made this, zombie movies were, at their peak right before The Walking Dead. Zombieland 2 kind of hitting a lull. So, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I don't think it did as well as the first one. But by the time that the third movie comes out, they might be a new renaissance of these type movies. They might hit it perfectly by doing that.
Yeah. That's a nice little time space in between.
Yeah, well, it also gives you the benefit of not like you start, let's say they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, it gives you time to miss the characters and say, I really like those zombie movies, the Zombielands. It's like, well, guess what? We've got another one now. It's like it's just enough time to really kind of capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Without getting bored with the characters, because if movies keep coming back to back really quick, people start to tune them out. I think they were getting close to that with the Scream movies, and with the current fuck up that they did, that they got rid of the two main leads, they might have actually saved themselves a little bit because it gave them a breather, and they're getting Nev back, which might be a benefit to them in doing that.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about it. I still feel so bad for the girls that were let go not let go. One was let go and one walked away, and good for her, Yeah,
Jenna Ortega, mad props to her for saying, fuck this shit. If you're going to, because like, we can say what we want to about the political agenda that was behind that, and feel however you want to feel about each side. I don't have a dog in that fight because I don't live there, and I'm not going to choose sides. War is war. War is awful for everybody involved, well, except for the politicians and the bankers who get rich off of it. But that's neither here nor there. You can, just because she expressed an opinion, they fired her, and I'm like, that's not. I get it. Free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences, but that's a little disingenuous for you to fire somebody over that one opinion, whenever I've heard way worse from people in Hollywood basically saying half of America needs to be unalived because they like the man with the red hat, and you're cool with that, but you want to fire somebody over siding with,
exactly
one of the two.
It ain't right.
No. But anyways, the story in this, one thing I was going to say about the visuals before we moved on, I love that they work in his rules, like visually, when it's happening, like especially like the seatbelt thing with a woman at the beginning of it sliding across the concrete, and then they just say, fasten your seatbelts. Love that.
Oh,
I
dude,
love how they
at
do
the
that.
beginning of the film, all that gore, I was like, this is awesome. And not only that, but I do like that when they were doing the scenes and they were showing the rules, sometimes they were like a metal sign. Where did we see that? There was another movie we saw that. Oh, it was the fake Jason Voorhees movie,
the Final Girls, yeah.
Yes, Final Girls, where it showed the rule, but then it was a sign that ended up getting hit by a car. This one was a metal sign that ended up falling down or something, but it wasn't a metal sign. It was just the words, block lettering, if you will.
Yeah. And the scene I think of the most is whenever he's saying limber up and the words are like moving apart as he's doing his like little limber routine or whatever.
That's so funny.
The story, now this was based upon, they were going to make a TV show about this, and it was going to be an episodic TV show, hence the zombie kill of the week. That's why they say that, because it was going to be a weekly show with a zombie kill each week.
Okay.
And I've got that in there, in the trivia. I can see it right here from where I'm at. But the thing of it is like it was meant to be a pilot to lead you into the the world. So, but they reworked it into a movie, kind of like how Shaun of the Dead, strangely enough, there's always connections to these movies that I don't even think about until after they're done. Started out as a TV show that was made into a movie, although in a different situation. But the story is a little bit, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. It's a zombie apocalypse. You got this 4 survivors, but they work within, it's like we mentioned earlier. If you make the story about focused on like a smaller thing, you can get invested in it.
Yeah, and we were able to get a little bit of information about their background, which was just enough. We didn't need to know their entire life story. We just needed to know enough about them that would give us a who is this person, what do we think they are going to be, and how did they survive this long? 2 hustlers, you know they're going to survive. And it shows based on how they hustled, you know, like in Tallahassee and Columbus.
And then Tallahassee obviously survived because the guy, he says that he was born to kill zombies.
Born to kill zombies, and also he had rules. His rules were keeping him alive.
Yeah, I mean, he had certain ones, but then like, you know, and then of course Columbus is all about the rules. It's like he's learned like little things that have like helped him along, and like he adds to his list as he sees necessary, you know.
Yes.
But I mean, I agree with you. And the thing is too, in the movie, they even point that out to a certain degree because they mention they say, you know, like when Tallahassee says we don't need any names, you know, like and they're not, and that's actually almost speaking to the audience. It's like you don't need to know these characters' real names. Knowing where they're from and their motivation for what they're doing, and then their interactions with one another as they grow together as a family is the only thing you need really to get invested.
You know what I'll refer to that as? Simplicity.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. Also, in relations to the storyline, we got in this film what you rarely ever get from any other film. You get an explanation as to what caused the apocalypse. That's in the trivia too, but it's one of the few zombie movies that straight up says no. It was mad cow meat. It mutated. And now we're all fucked up, mad humans, or it turns into mad zombies. You know. Yeah, they're dead. They're all fucked up.
They're actually not dead in this because you can kill them with anything, just as long as you make sure to double tap and put them down completely. You know? Which I love that rule because it is so smart. Like there's so many zombie movies that's like, it's not dead, it's not dead, it's not dead, and then they get bit, and it's like, one more bullet. Why are you conserving bullets? You just need to put them down.
Yeah, you know? and fucking what's his name? Columbus says it. He's like, don't be cheap with your bullets. Or don't be stingy.
Yeah, he outright says it. And the funny thing is The Walking Dead, I saw the episode, speaking of Sophia again, there's a whole season of that show at the farm where you're like, where's Sophia? Where's she at? They've been searching for this whole fucking season. Where's she at? Turns out she was in the barn the entire time. She was a zombie. A lot of people got pissed about that. Some people are like, hey, whatever it is. But when they let those zombies out of that barn, they kill all of them, and then they go around and they double tap them by making sure that they put another bullet into their head.
Yes.
Except for one, and that's the one that Beth, I can't remember, Maggie's sister runs, or and Herschel's daughter runs to, which is their mom that's been in there. And of course, because she wasn't double tapped, she just got grazed by a bullet, and she goes after Beth and almost bites her. And it's like, that show proves what Zombieland started. You need to double tap the zombies just to make sure. Anything else you want to say about the story? It's basic, but it works because it focuses on the survivors.
Yes, you like I said, you get just enough of the background. You get enough of what their motives are. You get enough of how they survived and what they may or may not add to the group.
And we could have said the same thing about Shaun of the Dead because it was the same exact situation. It was a big zombie apocalypse, but it focused on really the 5 main leads. That's really it.
Yeah.
And the screenwriting in both these movies is perfect just because like they set up things, they pay off later, and then like the dialogue. And I would say the screenwriting was better for Shaun of the Dead in all ways, but like in this one, I think the dialogue is just so well done.
Yeah,
you know,
the characters definitely. I mean, it's weird because Shaun of the Dead, they were all friends as well. And not only friends, they were really good friends. And I feel like these actors in Zombieland, they either became friends or they just really meshed on screen.
Even the moment that you see Emma Stone and she's supposed to be like this badass chick that doesn't care about anybody, I don't get the vibe that she hates the 2 guys that she's like conning or whatever. Even in that scene,
she's just trying to survive.
Yeah, she's just doing it to make sure. I mean, and then like later when you see her breaking down and like trusting them, I mean, it's a good payoff.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing too. She was right. She said, better for us to, I forgot the exact quote, basically to, in a nutshell, to con you than for us to get conned by you. She doesn't have to worry just about getting stuff stolen from them. She has to worry about her and her sister getting raped.
That's one thing that I thought about. I'm like, so when they first pop up, it's like, you're really trusting this guy to go ahead and shoot your sister, quote unquote. I mean, because there's guys out there that would have done it in a heartbeat without even having a moral quandary about it.
Yeah.
But but the one thing that saves that scene is the fact that she's smart enough to realize that herself. And she's like, wait, I'll do it. And then that's when she gets the gun and she turns it on him.
They definitely planned that.
But also, I think she's smart enough to gauge the two of them in the way that and I think she's so street smart that she saw them and realized they're not automatic like rapists, or there was something about them that didn't hint at that. So the con that they were going to run on them, was the one that they chose because they knew how to play into their like psyche a little bit. It's like, oh, these guys are the heroic type. Let's play into that,
Yeah.
Because a good con artist always knows his mark or her mark. And then so they play into whatever that. So if she was really trying to get one over on a rapist, I think that she would have worked her sexual charms on them to try to get one over, like she did at the gas station, because she knew that guy was being creepy about her, and she worked that over on him.
Yeah.
By the way, did you notice that he was also the guy that got his dick and balls like ate off by the zombie as he was using the bathroom?
Oh God, no, I didn't.
Yeah, whenever Columbus mentions,
Oh yes, I know he don't trust bathrooms or
don't trust. It's something like that.
Beware
but the guy
bathrooms.
who was sitting there, beware of bathrooms. The guy who was sitting on the toilet was that guy who's the gas station attendant that they ran the con on, and later in the movie.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But we're talking about it. The acting. There's not really a bad actor in this movie whatsoever.
Even the weakest link, which is Little Rock, she's written that way. She's not written as the weakest link. She's just written as a child that is interacting with adults, and there's only so much that a child can do to interact with an adult.
And I'll say this, she's actually a good child actor because, I mean, we've mentioned this before. The kid in 28 Weeks Later was terrible.
Oh, God.
But the Abigail Breslin, I mean, of course, she'd been in stuff previous to this, but the drama scene she sold in this movie. She might not have hit the comedy exactly. I mean, she was interacting off them, and I think she does a lot better job in the second movie. Of course, she's a lot older then, too, but... she definitely gets the dramatic portions of the movie right, which is what she was basically there for anyways.
Yeah.
I just the comedic stuff between the main three leads, or like Emma or Tallahassee, Wichita, and Columbus. They sell the movie though. If their delivery wasn't as spot on as it is, I don't even think the dialogue being as good as it is would have been nearly as well received if they hadn't. Because Jesse Eisenberg just plays that neurotic, like wimpy character so well that there's people I've got in the trivia. There was a couple more people that were picked. I can't imagine anybody else for that role than him.
No.
I just can't. And then Woody Harrelson, they said they wrote the character of Tallahassee for him. I think there was a couple more people that were looked at.
Maybe Matthew McConaughey.
He would have worked. I mean, weirdly, he would have.
Yeah.
But there's a charisma about Woody Harrelson that just comes off on the screen.
Even when he's got wispy hair, comb overs in a fucking loser bowling film.
Yeah, exactly. Even whenever he's in scenes like they're in movies like that where he's really Munsoned himself.
Yes.
That's the whole thing, Roy Munson. He's just charisma. And then Emma Stone, God, she's at peak hotness in this movie.
Yeah. She's she lost a little bit of it, and it's not because of age. I don't know what has changed.
It's a little bit due to age, because if you watch the new movie, she's got baby fat in this movie. We've discussed before. It's a terrible term. I mean, given the connotations in Hollywood with what they do, but women at a younger age have a little bit of that fat, whatever. Their face is fuller and all that. And when they get older, they lose, especially if they get skinnier, which she has. They lose some of that, and it's aged her a little bit, but she's still gorgeous. The second movie, she's still hot, but like this was peak. Like this movie, like, I mean, she's so gorgeous in this movie. Mm-hmm. And then she plays in the whole goth thing that, a lot of guys are into.
Yeah, I want to know how her makeup stayed so good during the zombie apocalypse. Like, is she just touching up her makeup at random spots? Who's doing their makeup during the zombie apocalypse? My makeup, I'm going to have makeup on, but I'm going to look like fucking Bill Murray.
Like Bill Murray did, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be streaked.
Not even that, but like just her hair, like her bangs were like, perfect. I mean,
she had the emo eye patch. Yeah, no, I mean, my hair is going to be fine because I have curly, wavy hair, and I'm not going to be able to wash very often. So the natural oils from my head is really going to condition my hair, and it's going to keep it okay. Like, I can work with that. Like, my hair is not done right now, but the oils and everything, I can maintain it. But, like, makeup, I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be sweating. Snot's going to be coming out of my nose.
You're going to look like the chick from the Blair Witch Project where snot bubbles are going to be popping out of your nose.
100%. And so I'm like, where is you? I mean, I guess it's smart that she does her makeup still because she's gorgeous so she can throw these men off.
Yeah, and that's part of it. That actually figures in her character that she would do that.
It does show her doing her makeup multiple times during cons.
Yeah. She's applying her lip, treatment or whatever right after she pulls the con on the gas station guy. Yeah. Something interesting in this movie too that Emma Stone and Tallahassee both pick up on is that they're both wearing like leather jackets, if nothing else. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've read that that's like the perfect thing in a zombie apocalypse because humans cannot bite through leather. If it's regular leather, not pleather, not that thin shit that, but if it's like a regular leather jacket, we can't bite through that.
Okay, good to know. Adding that to my arsenal. Do I still have my leather jacket? It's tight though. I couldn't fit it. I have to get it. I need one where I can lift my arms up to stab or, bat. Shooting would be fine in it, but I wouldn't be able to raise an axe or anything,
Yeah, and then those are superior weapons when you're needing the dual functionality and all that. But yeah, and not to take anything away from Emma Stone, just besides her looks, like her comedic timing is perfect as well in this movie. Like I still love that scene where she interacts with Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson, where they're reenacting the scene from Ghostbusters, and she does like a spot on perfect impression for Janine from the original movie.
They're on the ceiling. Oh my God, this is so gross. Like I said, and it helps that they have a small cast too, because like you can get standouts and not have to worry about the extended cast bringing you down that way. Yeah. It shows also in that scene how big the mansion is because you got the other two kids in the fucking theater, watching a film, and they have no idea. Like, screaming is clearly going on between Bill fucking Murray and, what they're doing. They're high as balls, and, like, they were none the wiser.
Yeah, nobody knew what was going on. And I know they make fun of it in the second movie, and everybody in Zombieland knows that somebody killed Bill Murray, and everybody's pissed about it, and Columbus has to hide it, which is a funny running joke in the second, because they keep mentioning up, they're like, did you know that somebody fucking shot Bill Murray? Like, what kind of psychopath does that? And Columbus is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Did Bill Murray die? But I feel really bad for him in this movie because why wouldn't he shoot? He thinks he's getting attacked by a zombie. I mean,
yeah, they were not careful with that at all. Like, they did not think that one through.
Bill Murray's makeup is so good. He looks like a fucking zombie.
And they specifically said excuse me, Columbus was like, okay, stick with me. He's like, and just be on. He basically told her to be on alert. We need to make sure that this, mansion is clear.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and he is the nervous guy that would always be. That's how he survived. If he didn't shoot first and ask questions later, he would probably be dead.
Yeah. I wonder why. I mean, I don't know if they explain it in Double Tap, but like, why did they leave the mansion? Because I know they're in the White House in the next one.
just because they, I think they get bored, just like Tallahassee does, and they're like, what would be the coolest place to live? And it's like, let's go to the White House,
Because DC sounds like a small town city that wouldn't be overrun by any.
See, the funny thing about DC, and this was, I don't remember what apocalyptic show I watched, but it was one of those where it's like, what would happen in the not zombie, but just apocalypse,
Yeah.
And DC apparently is only above water because of a bunch of pump systems they have or something like that.
Oh shit!
Because it's basically a swamp, which is funny because the whole thing that the man with the red hat always talks about draining that swamp. But anyways. It really is a swamp. It was built on swampland, and it would gladly go back to that if possible. So like every version of DC in the apocalypse basically starts accumulating water, and most of the buildings would have like at least a few feet of water, if nothing else, on in their lower levels.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna upset you. You're gonna be like, how dare you make that like that? Those similarities, but when I was 17 and I went to DC, I thought that DC was as bad as San Francisco is today.
I'm not going to listen. DC sucks.
Ugh.
I mean, not just for the
people
who
go there for fun too. Well, I guess people used to go to San Francisco for fun too.
Well, I mean, I went there. I want to say I was 12, 13,
That's
14,
acceptable.
somewhere in that age range.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there as a kid. I saw the monuments. I went to the Smithsonian. I saw all that.
People still go into adulthood, though. People choose as adults to go there. Like, I, as an adult, don't choose to go to San Francisco. I won't even take my daughter there. It used to be such an amazing place to go and beautiful, and I'm sure DC was, too.
DC's also like a high. There's a lot of crime and stuff in DC.
That's the scary part. And I was a 17-year-old just fucking toddling around that place with no fucking supervision.
Well, and you got to look at my point of view. A little country kid who never, like, the biggest city I'd maybe been in the period was like maybe Cincinnati. I don't even know if I'd really been there at that point.
Okay,
which is not to say very big at all. And then like. They actually sat down and told us, they's like, there's going to be homeless people and we're like, what are you talking about, homeless people? Like, I never even seen a homeless person before in my life until I went to DC. And they were like, do not give them money. They will beg for money. Do not give it to them. They will harass you if you do.
Yeah.
And they had to go through this whole spiel. And I saw these people and I saw them begging. I'm like, what is this shit? Like, I mean, we have people that look like that here, but they've got homes. They might be nearly to fall down. There might be shacks or like single wide trailers that have like holes in the floor, but they've got homes.
And they are proud of that property too.
And they've got a few busted up trucks that will never run on that property. And, you better stay off of it because they got a weed patch out back and they will shoot you over that.
Oh, my God.
But I just never it's a surprise to me. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the music in this movie, again, perfect selection of music, and especially the Metallica overlay at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then I blanking on their names. It's there's two guys in the band. It's not the White Stripes. It's the Black Keys. The Black Keys. That's what I was thinking of. The Your Touch, Too Much, or whatever is so perfect for that scene where that prison thing that we talked about before, when you get the goosebumps up your spine from listening to music. And I get that in that scene because seeing Columbus make the first move, or finally make the move on Wichita and becoming the hero and kissing her while that song is playing is a perfect combination of music. It just works. I mean, and there's several points in the movie where they do stuff like that. I mean, so they've got a good selection of music in this one.
Oh, they've got, from For Whom the Bell Tolls. Let me see.
There's a lot of independent songs.
Yeah, but they were good though.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there was any other major. I don't know. I think it's funny though in Double Tap that they end up in Washington D.C. when at the very beginning of Zombieland it shows Washington D.C. You basically know that the president is not present.
Yeah, they were overrun. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there's a reason why this movie is amongst a lot of, especially the comedy horror, like people is up there. I mean, because it is one of the best made movies of that genre, especially the zombie one.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add about the movie before we can discuss it as we go, but we got some trivia. I didn't know if you wanted to jump into that.
I think I'm ready for trivia.
So Woody Harrelson was actually arrested for marijuana possession during the filming of this movie, which delayed shooting for a day.
And this was in Georgia, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and this was also back in, when was this film made again?
2009, I believe.
2009. So they were still really uptight, even, I think, in California. So, yeah, that was a big deal. I'm surprised it only delayed shooting for a day. He must have paid a hefty fine or something.
And Woody Harrelson up there with Snoop Dogg and why am I blanking on his name? Country singer. The redheaded stranger. Anyways, maybe I'll remember here in a few minutes. Anyways, They're up there for pot use. I'll just say that. So, anyway, Zombie Kill of the Week was leftover, I said, from the script as original television pilot. Every weekly episode would have shown a different Zombie Kill of the Week performed by characters on the show, setting up that they were each going to get their own Zombie Kill of the Week if they would have been on the TV show. That would have probably got old over time, I think. But, I mean, it works in the context of the movie.
You know what they could do, technically? They could do Zombie Kill of the Decade.
Well, now they can. Yeah. I mean, for sure they can do that. Let's see. We've got here Abigail Breslin and Woody Harrelson's conversation in the Hummer scene about Hannah Montana was actually ad-lib.
I fucking love that. And I thought that it was, because I was like, okay, it felt like such a real conversation for a girl her age to have and to explain to him. Because he's always making fun of her for what she doesn't know. So now she's talking to him about what he doesn't know. I think that worked out so good. Her. Yeah.
She's not too far. Well, she's a little bit older than his son would have been, but she serves as a good surrogate child for him in a sense. By the way, that's Willie Nelson.
Yes, I did see that. I Googled.
Woody kept coming to my mind, and I was like, that's not right. Like, my mind was just like, there's already a W name here. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Woody and Willie.
Yeah, Willie and Woody, both pot smokers. The puppy that Woody Harrelson is seen playing with in the flashback belongs to Abigail Breslin.
How cute.
Certified good boy until he turns into Woody Harrelson's child, in which case you're sad panda because you realize what happened, there. So Patrick Swayze was offered a cameo role as a zombie before his cancer diagnosis. Aww. His scene would have parodied other Swayze movies like Ghost and Dirty Dancing. And then zombie cameo roles were also offered to Joe Pesci, Mark Hamill, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Bacon, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Matthew McConaughey, of all people.
Oh, my God. That would have been fucking awesome. I would have liked a Patrick Swayze zombie.
Yeah, I think it would have been good.
It would have been a little foretelling.
Yeah, that would have been really weird. And it would have probably soured it a little bit going back and watching it, knowing what happened to him.
I think he would have had fun, though. That would have been like, you could have been like, yeah, he died horribly, but he had fun in this movie,
He had one good, he went out on a high note.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, the supermarket scene was not filmed in an actual supermarket. Normally in these movies, they just buy an old abandoned supermarket like they did in 28 Days Later and just, put some stuff in it and make it look real. No, they decided that was just too much cost. So they basically built the whole entire thing from scratch. And then in the scene when the refrigerator doors that you can see, that's the stuff that's inside of them is just printed on paper. So from a distance, it looks like there's shit inside of the glass doors.
That's kind of cool. I like that, actually. As long as the budget calls for it, meaning they actually did save money versus having a building that's already there, a skeleton, and now you just have to add things to it.
Yeah, I could see it both ways, but unless you've got like some kind of deal that you got worked out to where you can get like the groceries and stuff, there. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the one that the guys who made Evil Dead, were in, where it was a slasher movie we covered, where it was inside of a grocery store. They knew somebody who was, had like outdated groceries, and the person who had the keys to the grocery store, so it worked. They could easily work it in their budget, but if you don't have something like that, then just do whatever works best.
Yeah, and it's not like you can have fresh groceries. Yeah, it has to be like not even so much outdated, because you can have boxes of cereal, not know that they're expired or whatnot. But like produce just does not work unless you're showing rotted or something like that. I still didn't get that in 28 Days Later. It was like fresh as fuck, and I was like, well, we'll explain it away, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, if it's been as long as it had been, there was no way that they would have been getting fresh anything.
Mm-hmm.
Director Ruben Fleischer has said that he was inspired to make this by Shaun of the Dead, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, big shocker.
It is revealed in the DVD commentary that Emma Stone was originally the one that was going to be cast in the role of Amber Heard as 406.
Ugh, thank God. I did not even know that was Amber Heard.
Well, you know what? I was getting ready to say this. How funny is it? How hot is Emma Stone in this movie that she totally overcast and outshadows Amber Heard?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Because, to give Amber Heard, I'll just say her name right for once. To give her credit, she is, well, at least at one point in time, she was a very attractive woman.
Yeah, she's not ugly.
Just the fact, but Emma Stone totally outshines her in all ways in this movie. And it doesn't hurt that Emma Stone gives that like girl next door vibe a little bit, even if she is like the con artist chick. Like there's something about her that's approachable versus like 406, which is actually it's a good role for Amber Heard because there's no way in reality that I could ever see Jesse Eisenberg getting with her, like it even as actors, like that just wouldn't work out.
Do we think Amber Heard's baby actually belongs to Elon?
I tend to think so. Yes.
Yeah, I think she's
Elon.
One of his. Okay.
Elon's going to have a lot of smart descendants because he likes to fuck, which who can't blame him on that.
Yeah.
And he likes to fuck hot women, can't blame him on that either. But he also is very potent for some reason, and one shot from the barrel and you're done. Like as a woman, you're carrying that anchor baby.
Yeah, which good for the women.
They've got some money coming.
They're turning into like this weird cult. Well, some of the women don't get along, but like he is intentionally doing this. Like he's like, no, that this was meant to happen. These babies are not accidents. Like I am trying to have a lot of kids. Nick Cannon. All right, back to fucking Zombieland.
Shortly after filming concluded in 2009, Woody Harrelson attacked a TMZ photographer at LaGuardia Airport in New York City. After arriving from L.A., Harrelson, a renowned method actor, blamed his actions on his Tallahassee role. He was still not out of the character's head and acted on impulse. In a CNN interview, Harrelson said, "I then flew to New York, still very much in character, with my daughter at the airport. I was startled by a paparazzo who I quite understandably mistook for a zombie." I don't believe this, but that is a great excuse for attacking paparazzi.
That is like, I am so good at my job, guys. And we know that he is. I'm so good. I just didn't get out of character, and I was simply protecting my child. When all he really had to do was say, hey, I was protecting the privacy of my underage, child.
Yeah, that's all he has to say, and he can get by with just attacking somebody. What is it? Was it Colin Farrell or Russell Crowe? One of one of those two. I want to say it's Russell Crowe, which is funny because they mentioned that in this movie. They mentioned his name.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't find Twinkies, and then Emma Stone's character Wichita said, "I told you we should have went to Russell Crowe's place."
Yes.
But Russell Crowe is notorious for attacking, people, and he just used the excuse that he's an asshole, which I guess kudos to him for being at least honest about it.
Yeah.
There is an additional scene after the credits, an outtake with Bill Murray in Tallahassee after Bill dies, but he's still not dead, which his drawn-out scene is kind of funny where he's just like forever just breathing out his death sigh. But the scene after the credits is Woody Harrelson, and I don't know, I want to say it might be a scene from Caddyshack, but it's something like that where he quotes something and then Bill Murray comes back and redoes the quote for him and then finally dies. And that's the little scene they have together. Originally titled Another Day in Zombieland, the studio feared people would think it was a sequel and then just shortened it to Zombieland. I think that's a smart idea because Another Day does make you think that it's a sequel.
Yeah, I just like Zombieland in general.
Woody Harrelson actually plays the banjo, as I said before. He could have faked it. It could have been dubbed in, but he's like, no, I want to learn this.
I feel like people know, though. Like, people can tell when they're actually playing the right keys.
Especially musicians, they can tell instantly if somebody's faking it.
Yeah, remember, what's his name? Eddie from Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah, he learned
it, and people knew. They were like, he actually learned that song.
He learned the song. He played it nearly perfect. So, yeah. I saw something the other day on TikTok. It was one of the 70s bands, and I wished I could remember which one it was. It might have been the White Winged Doves or whatever that band was that sung that. But anyways, like the lady they were filming the video, and she was and she was so pissed that she had to lip sync her lyrics that she ate a banana while she was supposed to be singing, just so that people knew. It's like, I'm not singing this song. And she was like, her lyrics, her song was playing her music as if she was singing, but she was eating a banana at the time.
Like Rihanna at the fucking Super Bowl. Swear to God, dude, that was the laziest lip singing ever of your own fucking music. And Rihanna's not one of those people that needs, recordings to sound normal. She sounds like how she sounds, but she was just like giving it 10% at best.
She was giving it Bill Murray's effort, apparently, in the new Ghostbusters. I've not yet seen it, but they say he phoned that in bigger than he ever has in anything.
I mean, Homeboy still got paid, and I think that movie's doing real good too.
It's doing decent enough. They'll probably make another one, but
yeah, probably not with him, but
it was shot in 42 days.
Okay.
Considering the amount of scenes and everything, that's actually pretty good.
It sounds like they hustled, so that must have been some hardworking 42 days, honestly.
Yeah, they probably went through some shit to get that done in 42 days, but
Woody Harrelson was probably tired when he got off of that. That's why he beat that person at the fucking airport.
That should be his other excuse. It's like, listen, I was tired. That guy popped up. I was afraid for my daughter. I just beat the shit out of him. 6 other additional rules are mentioned in the theatrical promo trailers and the DVD extras. Rule number 12, bounty, as in the bouncy paper towels. If there's one way to describe Zombieland, it is moist.
Ew.
Rule number 15, bowling ball. Nothing says massive head trauma like a bowling ball.
Okay, which is
that's a little too much, I think.
It is, but it brings it back to Woody Harrelson and
that
Kingpin.
Actually does. That's funny. Rule number 29, the buddy system. It is so important that we take a cue from our zombie neighbors and we each have each other's backs. That's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Rule number 6, cast iron skillet. Zombie takes one of these to the head, he ain't getting up.
Same with husbands. I mean, what?
Rule number 33, Swiss Army knife. The Swiss Army used that knife for a reason.
Yes.
Which brings the total rules up to 33 whenever you consider that's like after number 31, which I think is remember the little things.
Okay.
When Wichita, Little Rock, Columbus, and Tallahassee stop in Hollywood to pick up a map, a marquee showing 2012, which was made in 2009. Funny enough, the movie 2012 is in the background, which also starred Woody Harrelson.
That's hella funny.
In the script, the only name that remained the same was Wichita. Columbus was originally Flagstaff, Tallahassee was Albuquerque, and Little Rock was originally Stillwater. Now, what's funny about this is that they took this and they actually ran with it in the sequel, which is one of the parts I really like the sequel, where they have Owen Wilson's brother Luke, and then I can't remember the guy's name who's the Jesse Eisenberg also ran, but they made the characters Albuquerque and Flagstaff, because they're supposed to be like parodies of the two characters from this movie.
Okay, that makes sense, because I did hear, well, like I said, I was sleepwatching.
It's been said that this movie is based on the video game Left 4 Dead 2. Valve developers of the game denied the studio permission to mention the game and the company in the opening and end credits. But that does make sense considering in part 2 they make multiple versions of zombies that each have different skills.
Okay, because I was going to say Left 4 Dead was very specific and with the fact that they had different zombies. In fact, I never was even convinced that the Banshee was a fucking zombie. I thought she was a witch.
I think she better fits as one of those ghosts from Japan, because she really plays into that quite a bit.
And then what were they called? Smokers? Was it the Smokers or? They could choke you with, like, smoke came out of their mouth, and they could grab you by the neck and choke you.
Yeah. Some people pay extra for that.
Oh my God.
Contrary to many contemporary zombie films such as Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland is quite explicit about what caused the zombie infestation.
Yes, we respect that.
It is, it's a virus. People become zombies after contact with other zombies, and it's not airborne. In a deleted scene, Columbus mentions that to prevent infection, one should avoid contact with bodily fluids of infected people, suggesting that the infection can be transmitted, like it was in 28 Days Later, through blood, saliva, semen, and vomit.
Ladies, don't go sucking on those zombies' dicks, okay?
And guys, you don't want to be going after 406, even if she is dead, because sexually transmitted diseases in Zombieland are a thing.
He's lucky she didn't die. And she was not, full disclosure, she did not fucking tell him she had been bit. She was like, oh, and it bit at me. Bitch, you got bit. Yeah,
she lied to him. Well, all the way around, she's a bitch in this movie. I mean, now I will give her credit for this. With a broken foot, the way she was moving.
Oh, yes.
That was actually pretty good. That was pretty good that she did that.
Broken foot, and then she did something else, too. I forgot what it was. When she got hit the first time, it's how she started walking afterwards. And so if that was that Amber Heard, or was that some kind of fucking...
It might have been a stunt person.
I was thinking it was a stunt person, because I was like, if that was Amber Heard, kudos to her, honestly, because we are big on how zombies should walk after they got hurt.
Yeah.
Or in general.
And they shouldn't be running like they're going for the Olympics. So
no, she was trying, but
Emma Stone is the last of the main co-stars to be nominated for an Oscar, but the first among them to win. Woody Harrelson was nominated for The People vs. Larry Flint.
Ugh, I love that movie.
Abigail Breslin was nominated for performance in Little Miss Sunshine. Jesse Eisenberg was nominated for his performance in The Social Network. And lastly, Stone was nominated for her performance in Birdman, which she did with Michael Keaton, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Stone then won the Oscar, actually won it for her performance in La La Land. So there you go.
Wow.
Twinkies really are called submarinos in Mexico.
That's hella funny. I did not know that. I heard him say that, and I was like, that's not real. Apparently it is. I don't know. I'm Mexican, but I don't know.
In the Woody Harrelson movie Natural Born Killers, the term Zombieland is actually mentioned while talking about television audiences.
Interesting.
I don't know if they actually knew that connection or if that was a happy coincidence, but that's cool.
Yeah.
The soundtrack during the climactic battle at the carnival was originally going to feature songs from several extreme metal bands. Ruben Fleischer, a big fan of metal music, had planned on using songs by Slayer, Death, Deicide, Terrorizer, Bolt Thrower, and Carcass, amongst other, with Metallica's Master of Puppets being used for the final showdown, which is funny given the Stranger Things reference we just made. However, the production, and it's also in the beginning of Zombieland 2, they did bring Master of Puppet. However, the production team focused on purchasing the rights to the more mainstream songs because they figured the metal songs would be cheaper. But they were shocked to find out the metal songs were far more expensive than expected, and they couldn't afford them. Instead, the climax features an original metal score by composer David Sardi. Fleischer made sure to purchase the rights of Master of Puppets for the sequel, however.
Okay, hold on. Kingpin. His name was what?
Roy Munson.
And then we have Eddie Munson.
Yeah.
Stranger Things. Oh, my God.
He really Munsoned it on that one.
Oh, they Munsoned it bad.
John Carpenter turned down a chance to direct this. According to producers, Carpenter was interested in directing it if it was a TV pilot. However, when it changed over to be a film, he lost interest. He loved the script, according to Reese, but his schedule would not permit him the time to direct a full-length film.
Well, yeah, especially with them doing it in 47 days. Like I said, that's short, but that was probably some hard-ass days, too.
Yeah, it would have been rough. And Carpenter, if he's not getting the chance to, in addition to making his music with his kid, if he's not getting the chance to play video games and then smoke some weed, he doesn't care anymore. Hey, he's earned it. If he wants to do that
That
for the
is
rest of his
true.
life, I mean, let him do it.
I don't know that it would have turned out as good too. Like, would this have been scarier?
It would have focused more on the horror because I
Yeah.
mean, nothing against Carpenter, but he does the comedy. He does have comedy in his movies, but sometimes it's unintentional comedy, like the scene in They Live where they beat each other for like 15 whole minutes or whatever. It gets hilarious because it's so drawn out. But I don't know. But if it was meant to be comedy, it's like so dry that it's almost
Yeah.
non-existent.
Look at John Carpenter is called a master of horror for a reason. So, and there's nothing wrong, but I just don't think he would have been the right pick for Zombieland.
It would have been way different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Columbus is afraid of clowns, but how it's funny. Eisenberg's mother was actually a party clown.
Oh my God. I would have hated that growing up.
I don't even know how you. I don't know how you
embarrassing.
live with that because I have a fear of clowns in real life, and I don't. I mean, I could deal with them, but it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like if you see a clown in places where they're not at, it creeps you out. Like if I saw them in a circus, yeah, I brought this on myself because that's where they're at, or a children's like party or something like that. But if you see like a random clown in a bathroom somewhere and out in the middle of nowhere, there's some shit about to go down. Is all I'm going to say.
I think that Jesse, having grown up around it, though, he wasn't afraid because, I mean, look at my kids grew up around horror movies and they're just not really genuinely afraid of most things. Like, they know it's a movie, they can handle horror and everything. And clowns aren't even meant to be horrific, they just unintentionally are. So, yeah, I think if you had grown up with that, it might be a little bit different. But other than that, you know.
Clowns, I mean, this is something we'll cover probably more whenever we go into it eventually when we cover Stephen King stuff. But clowns actually wear death masks. So there is a bit of like death and like, stuff attributed to them, whether they want to admit it or not. So there is some horror built into clowns automatically from the get-go.
I don't like it.
During the Monopoly game, Columbus remarks that one of the best things about Zombieland is no Facebook status updates. A year later, he was in The Social Network.
He was playing the Zucker whore himself.
He was Mark Zuckerberg himself. All of the blood effects were added digitally during post-production. There was no fake blood used anywhere. This drew criticism from the mainstream reviewers who found it blatantly fake and weird and out of place. It don't look that bad in the movie.
Go home. God, you're so... Like, I understand if it looks terrible. Like, I completely understand if it looks terrible, but it didn't, so shut up.
Jamie Bell was originally cast as Columbus, but dropped out, and then Taylor Lautner, of all people, was considered to replace him.
Taylor Lautner would have been fucking horrible.
He has no charisma. Even I don't even know why people thought that he was that. Outside of his looks, I have seen snippets of Twilight. I refuse to watch that all the way through, and I will not even do it for the vampire season. So don't even ask. But why he's zero. He's a black hole of charisma. Like there's nothing about that his scenes in those Twilight movies that makes me think that he could carry anything off, especially not the role of Columbus, because you have to have a likable character for because he's the main protagonist. You have to like him.
Yes,
and he's also a scaredy cat. I mean, even Emma Stone's character makes that mention when she's getting ready to kiss him that he's got the guts of a guppy, but he has to be, he has to be a scaredy cat. He has to be weak, but you still have to like him. Eisenberg pulls that off.
Yes.
Lautner could not. Lautner doesn't. I mean, he would have been Jack too. Like that's the only reason people like him.
Yeah, he's what Hollywood would consider super handsome, regardless of his charisma or not. You don't have to have charisma to be good looking. Jamie Bell, I think, could have absolutely pulled off this role.
Jamie Bell was when I saw pictures of him, because what's he been in? Because like I don't really even know him, but when I saw pictures, I'm like, I could kind of see that guy being Columbus.
Pictures wise is what I'm looking at. I'm like, oh yeah, he absolutely could have pulled this off. But movies, I don't think I've seen any of the movies he's been in. I have seen Billy Elliot. He was in Fantastic Four. Who was he in Fantastic Four? Hold on.
He would have been like Mr. Fantastic, right?
Ben Grimm.
Oh no, okay. He was the Thing then. Okay.
Let me see who else what else he's been in. Hello, give me some more movies. What are you doing? Skin. I have not seen Skin. He was in Jumper.
I've not seen most of these movies. I mean, I've seen parts of Jumper, but
Let me see if there's anything else a little more. Nope, I don't really see anything else. No.
I saw Snowpiercer, but I don't remember him from that movie. So
I didn't even see that.
He was in The Adventures of Tintin, and you know who did a voice in that movie as well?
Huh.
Simon Pegg.
Oh, that's funny. He seems to be in quite a few movies with Michael B. Jordan for some reason.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if it's just a coincidence. I see 2 at least so far. So.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about him to know whether he could have pulled it off. I mean, he does look the part.
He's got the look,
else.
and that's a big part of it. I mean, yes, you have to have charisma. I would imagine if he was in what do you call it? Fantastic Four, and we didn't notice anything bad, he's probably got what it takes.
Yeah, he probably does.
Taylor Lautner is a no.
No, not at all. Evan Rachel Wood and Megan Fox were turned down the role for Wichita, while Amber Tamblyn auditioned for it.
Amber Tamblyn is a no. She did have that gothy vibe a little bit. Not even gothy, more angsty than anything that gave her emo. She had emo, not gothy. Evan Rachel Wood probably could have pulled it off. I mean, she did fucking fuck Marilyn Manson for a while.
Well, and now she's coming out and saying that was more grape than it was actually, but I don't believe that.
I don't believe it either. You willingly, and you helped him cheat on his wife, so fuck you.
Megan Fox, and I don't remember what time that Jennifer or whatever, like came out, but like if she would have did it around that time, she could have pulled off
2009.
Same year, okay.
Yep, same year.
She could have definitely pulled off the hot gothy looking vibe, but she has no comedy chops whatsoever. She cannot land a joke to save her life.
No, yeah. God, she was so pretty back in the day.
She was.
Now she just looks fake now.
Yeah, it's like she's a parody of herself at this point.
She went on, I recently saw a video of her talking about the work she has had done, because she's like, you know what? She goes, I'm not going to talk about what I haven't had done. She goes, but I am going to tell you what I have had done. She goes, she went into she's had, multiple nose jobs. She's had, fillers. She's had Botox. I think she's had her breast done. I'm trying to think what else too. And then she's like, oh, I have this one secret procedure that I've had done. It's not widely known yet. She goes, and I'm going to keep this one close to the grave. And she goes, can you at least tell us the area? And she's like, no. Like, she would not say what this procedure was that she had done. And I'm like, fuck, and now I'm really interested, because that's going to get people talking more. Like, okay, yeah, you spoke about what you had done. And if I ever had work done on me, I would want to be those people. If somebody said, oh my God, you're gorgeous, I'd be like, thank you. It's the Botox or it's the lip filler, because I'm clearly not being myself. So I would proudly talk about what I had done. And so she's done that, and now I'm like, but you have to tell us what this one procedure is, because people are going to want to know.
What do you think the procedure was then?
What could be so top secret of a plastic surgery cosmetic procedure? I have no idea. Something to her forehead, maybe, or I don't even think it's top secret. Like, it looks like she's had cheek implants, or she's had something done to her cheeks.
Do you think she'd be the kind of person who would hide having, what do they call that, where they try to become re-virginized or whatever, like they have their hymen semi-restored? Yeah, I mean, like, do you think she would have done something like that and be embarrassed about it?
I could absolutely see her doing that, but that's not cosmetic. So this is a cosmetic procedure she's allegedly had done that is top secret. It's not very popular. It's not widely known yet. And I can't even begin to tell you what it could possibly be. Maybe she had no, because people are doing this, had fat taken from one area and put to another.
That's pretty common. I don't see her hiding that.
Yeah,
I mean,
chin implants are popular. It looks like she's definitely had something done to her chin. Maybe she had something done to her ears, or maybe eyes get reshaped all the time too. I don't know. I don't know what this top secret. Maybe she's fucking bullshitting us and trying to throw us off.
It could be. It'd also be hilarious. I mean, and I don't mean this in any special way, so alphabet people put down their pitchforks, but like, there's the jokes that Machine Gun Kelly is maybe he likes the guys,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be funny if she actually got a hoo-ha down there, and that's the cosmetic surgery.
What if she got her thumbs fixed?
Now she would hide that because she's very, very conscientious about that.
Yes. Well,
So
God, they're fucking awful.
they look. I mean, for such a hot woman, like when you, I mean, even back in the day, and when she made Jennifer's Body, like to see her thumbs, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, okay, like, but even she's so freaking gorgeous. Is like, why would that matter? I don't know. I've never been as gorgeous as her.
It
So
wasn't. It's the kind of thing that those guys who like to nag women to get them in bed would focus on. You know, that'd be the first thing. It's like, yeah, you could be a 10, but you got those thumbs, so you're you're a Carolina 6 or something at best. And then
which I mean, that's pretty high though. You know.
Anyways,
I'm sending you a picture, and you can watch it. You could not watch. You could look at it later. I'm gonna put it in the Death Holler General, but they definitely photoshopped her thumbs in the DVD extra or the DVD unrated version for Jennifer's Body. Yeah. Anyways.
that's all. In the highway accident wreckage, the pattern of burn marks and melted aluminum on the side of the scorched big rig truck resembles human skulls.
Oh, I did not notice that.
I didn't. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it. Boo hoo! That's so terrible to have to rewatch this movie for the 42nd time or more. When Columbus and this is one of those movies I got to throw it out there before we even get to review. I've already mentioned it. Major League. I could throw it on TV at any point in the movie and just watch it to the end. I don't care as long as I love the characters in the movie. Same thing with this. Every time that I see this movie, like me and my wife, like we was at HHN last year and we caught it on the TV and it was like halfway through. I just left it. I was like, I'm cool with watching this.
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Anyways, when Columbus and Tallahassee are walking through a town after their Escalade is broken, the town in the background, or the tank in the background, is a British-made Chieftain main battle tank painted in the American color scheme.
Interesting.
So I don't know why they took a British one. Maybe it was cheaper, but that's what they used.
Yeah.
Zombieland was filmed in the same locations, as we said, as The Walking Dead, that were used later in The Walking Dead. They actually chose the places that this movie had.
Yeah.
In the scene where Wichita and Columbus split a bottle of wine at Bill Murray's house, she claims 1997 was a great year because she saw her first R-rated movie, Anaconda. That movie is actually PG-13.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
But they were drinking, and she was drunk and thought that it could have had a rated R. Towards the beginning, when Columbus is first seen walking on the deserted highway, he passes a minivan to his left that has a 99X sticker on its back window. That is actually an alternative radio station in Atlanta, Georgia that was hugely popular in the mid to late 90s.
Oh, my goodness.
So, all right. We've already mentioned this, but Tallahassee says how much he loves Bill Murray, but in the movie Kingpin, they hated each other's guts. So it's kind of funny.
God, that was such a good movie.
I want to go back and rewatch it now, to be honest.
Same.
When Columbus and Tallahassee first meet on the highway and face off, there is a music box like chiming embedded in the music. This chime is from a chiming pocket watch and for a few dollars more from 1965, which makes sense because it's like a Mexican standoff that they're doing, in that scene.
That makes sense.
I love, too, in that scene where Columbus is shaking like a fucking leaf. But he's still trying to be all badass about it. It's just like Woody Harrelson's like having none of it, you know?
Oh, my God, yeah.
And then he just turns into the hitchhiker's thumb, and he's like, "Okay, hop in."
Yeah.
Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin both have brothers named Spencer, which is weird.
What? Such a random fact.
Yeah, Abigail Breslin and Emma Stone have both played a character named Olive.
Okay.
Breslin's character in Little Miss Sunshine and Stone's in Easy A. When the group meets Wichita and Little Rock pretends that she is bitten by a zombie. Abigail Breslin plays an identical role in Maggie, where she actually was bitten by a zombie and has to say a tearful goodbye to her father, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Which the funniest thing about that movie is it's supposed to be set in the Midwest. And can you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, even to this day, he has not lost all of his accent.
No.
And him trying to be like a Midwestern American worker and him speaking the way that it's just funny. It makes no sense, but it
happens though. There's farmers out there that still have their accents from their countries. And I'm like, pop off. Like, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to rate movies.
Although his character is on a constant hunt for Twinkies, Woody Harrelson's actually a vegan and does not eat Twinkies because they contain eggs and beef fat. According to Harrelson, the filmmakers actually made a fake Twinkie out of cornmeal for him to eat at the end of the movie.
Oh my God. Are you serious? Twinkies are amazing.
You can't have them if you're a vegan, though, apparently.
Yeah, what the hell? And he's, oh my God. I can't with him right now. He's fake. He's fake news.
The poor fat bastard killed in the film's opening scene shows up again as the zombie with a pretty mouth that Tallahassee kills with a banjo in the supermarket.
I thought, yeah. Okay, he looked familiar.
Wichita is the only main character whose name is revealed. Her name is Krista, named for Emma Stone's mother, actually.
Aww.
Bill Murray did not originally have any lines after he was shot by Columbus. The Garfield movie line was improvised, which makes sense. It's like, do you have any regrets? And he's like, Garfield, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I thought he liked doing Garfield. Did he not? I thought he wanted to do Garfield.
He did, and there's that whole thing about him and Lorenzo Music, because Lorenzo Music basically was Bill Murray's voice and everything that Bill Murray didn't do, and it was like his jab at Lorenzo Music. It's a whole thing. I don't know. In the movie, Wichita and Little Rock ambushed Tallahassee and Columbus on the road, taking them hostage. Originally, they were going to drive away and leave both of them stranded again after they stole the second car, until Little Rock convinces Wichita to turn back and take them with them. In the original version, she successfully argues that having a few slower and older people in the group was advantageous, as they could serve as zombie food in case of a sudden attack. The scene was deleted, but can still be seen on the Blu-ray version.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. I don't know. Does it fit the character better for her to say that, or to them to be more like, we kind of like you all? Like, I don't know. I could see it either way.
I mean, me personally, I would be like, okay, if I get the feeling that you're not going to be a rapist, then I'm going to be like, okay, I need you on my team because I'm just a girl and I do need protection. And in a group, especially a small group, is going to be a lot more, I think, successful than somebody by themselves.
Well, they are. And I mean, honestly, Tallahassee is so good at what he does. I don't know why you wouldn't want him on your team.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't know that about him yet, but you have to kind of tell. I
think but Emma Stone has had to have seen. In my mind, she watched him kill all those zombies in that before, and saw the two of them interact before she ever came out of that back room. Because otherwise, if they would have gave any vibe that they were rapists or anything like that, they would have just cut out the back door and got out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, Columbus has 32 rules for surviving Zombieland, 10 of which are identified in the movie, as the rules are punctuated in an order and that they appear in the movie. They are: rule number 1, cardio; number 2, double tap; number 3, beware of bathrooms. And I like how they do these, because you can kind of imagine how he came across these rules.
Yeah,
because there's a story there.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is seat belts. Number 7 is travel light. Rule number 31, check the back seat, which he learns at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Rule number 18, limber up. Rule number 22, when in doubt, know your way out. And which means that at some point he has nearly got trapped in a building, and he added that to his list. Rule number 32, enjoy the little things, that he got from, Tallahassee. And then rule number 17, don't be a hero, which he later changes to be a hero. And 11th rule of surviving Zombieland is, as we said, is in the deleted scene, actually. And the rule, and there's rule number 2, Ziploc bags. In a voiceover, Columbus explains, you've got enough problems. Moisture shouldn't be one of them. Something that I didn't realize until I rewatched it just this last time. I've seen it before, but I never thought about it. And I think it was because of the Ziploc bag thing. He keeps his shotgun shells in a Ziploc bag, which is actually smart. It keeps moisture out of them.
Yes.
Because whenever he goes and he realizes he's dry, he's empty on him, he throws the little Ziploc bag away.
Yeah.
In that scene toward the end.
That's so funny.
All right. What is your review for this movie?
Oh, God. This one was a good one. Like I said before in Shaun of the Dead, I was pretty upset that they were fast-running zombies, but then you did mention, well, they were infected humans. So that makes sense. I just don't understand how a bad burger that would give you stomach cramping and diarrhea can make you run so fast, though. Like, are they running for the bathroom? Because that would make sense. Like, that would make me run for the hills.
So I think they call it mad cow, if I remember right, because the cows actually do become, their brain becomes inflamed and they start attacking things, which cows do not do because they're more passive. Well, except for bulls.
Yeah.
But cows and bulls are, they're boys and girls, and gender exists. But anyways, they don't normally attack anything unless it accidentally through a stampede, but they do get aggressive with mad cow. So I think it's hinting that their brains become so inflamed that they just attack anything in sight, and that's the reason that they do what they do.
But why are they running so fast?
I guess because like they've like I like to think that in my mind that they're like their pain tolerance is like amped way up. Like they don't those things that normally keep people from running a lot, which is whenever you get that lactic acid build up and you start hurting.
Yeah.
They might even get that, but they just ignore it because their brain is just like attack.
That's fine. But
the only thing that don't make sense to me is why they don't attack each other, because if they're that aggressive, they should be like fighting one another as well.
Oh yeah, I had not thought about that.
I mean, they're zombies. I mean, you can wave it away, but I mean, if it's just them attacking shit, like they shouldn't prefer regular people over. I mean, it's almost like in World War Z where they made the argument that it's like, oh, it's smart, it knows it's like it's a virus.
You're not a good host.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that being said, everything about this movie was damn near perfection. I don't know why I'm so scared to give out 5s. Like, do I give this one a 5? Like, it had, this one's a 5 for me. It had way too much adventure, way too much killing, a lot of, gore to it. It had Twinkies. I would kill for a fucking Twinkie. It had a good storyline. You got enough of everyone's storyline that you cared about them or didn't care about them or understood what they were going through. I think Zombieland's going to be a 5 for me. I think this is my first 5 of the season.
See, I think it is your first 5 because you've edged up to the line and gave everybody blue balls, but you've never fully went over to 5 territory until now. I've already gave a 5 out couple of times. 28 Days Later, obviously Shaun of the Dead, if you listen to those. I thought about not giving this a 5, but I like this, and the sequel is a step down, and I've got to have room to maneuver on the to make a difference between them. So this is another 5 because I love this movie so much, and there's only a little bit of stuff that lets me down in the second one, but some of the dynamic, I mean, not amongst the main cast, but they introduced some other characters that kind of like the pacifist guy in the second one, which we'll get in the review of that later in this month or whatever. But I hate him so much, just like Tallahassee, that I can't. Like he ruins the movie a little bit for me. So that one's a downgrade, but this one's definitely a 5. And this isn't I've got at least 2 more 5s to give out this season because there's one later on for sure, a Romero movie, but like there's I was thinking about it. We're covering Evil Dead, I think, this season, and one of the Evil Deads, and I want to say it's maybe 2. I'm going to go back and rewatch them, but one of them deserves a 5 because I mean because Army of Darkness is a little too much comedy. Evil Dead, the first one is what it is. It was shot on a shoestring budget, made everybody famous for how much they got accomplished. But 2 is like a damn near perfect movie. So yeah, I'm probably gonna give out a few more 5s, but this one's up there. I got to give it a 5 because the interaction amongst the cast, like I feel like I'm amongst friends when I watch this movie.
It's just, it feels so natural. We don't have to limit how many 5s we give out. Obviously, everyone thinks, oh, well, you're a movie critic. You have to, there has to be some criticism. And I feel bad because I feel like I should have given 28 Days Later a 5. I don't think I gave them a 5. I think I gave them, a 4.8 or...
Yeah, it was like that, or a 4.7. You were like right there on the cusp of it. I was going to do that, and I'm like, fuck it. I mean, there's no, we don't have to play, Roger Ebert and be like, well, technically, you don't. I mean, if you.
What my thing is with 28 Days Later, specifically 28 Days, is that I cannot rewatch that frequently. It's just not. It's too scary for me to keep rewatching.
It succeeds at being a horror film.
It does, and that should be a 5 for everyone else. But for me, I'm just like, if I can't do it, and if I can't keep watching it, it's not a 5 for me. Zombieland, I feel like I could, but it does have the scares. Definitely scarier than World War Z.
Yeah, it that's the thing that threw me off about World War Z. I'm like, okay, so I've heard people make the comment, and I would agree with to a certain extent. There's points in this movie. I mean, not necessarily the first time you watch it because you don't really know, but there's times in this movie where you get the impression that like, okay, the four main leads are not going to die, so we can be a little bit comfortable around them. Even, but the very first time you watch it, like at the end, you're not really sure if like Little Rock or Wichita are making it out of that. At least that where the predicament they're in with the elevator, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And they even set up the scene that Tallahassee is going to die inside of that booth. I mean, because they start playing he's going to die music, and he's running out of clips, or for his magazines for his pistols. So they set it up that he could die in that scene, and even Columbus is in a bad way toward the end of the movie. So I could get the argument. People would say, well, there's no real threat in this movie, but there's no threat whatsoever in World War Z. Like whatever argument you want to make, you're never concerned that Jerry Lane is going to die at all.
Oh yeah, you know that he's going to make it through just fine. I mean, there's definitely threats to other people. I would feel threatened if I was in that scenario for sure. But yeah, they almost make it feel like it's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. In Zombieland, I think what they did right for me, again, I love the simplicity. We had the key thing that La Reina needs in her zombie films. You had humor. I got to have humor or else I can't watch you. Like, even with humor, I'm going to have a hard time. You've got scary zombies. You got a chance to be able to, you have a chance that if you're strategic enough, you're going to be able to get away from scenarios. You're not going to, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be okay, but you're going to be able to get away, and not only that, but you had such tension that in the scenes where there was nothing going on, even I was on edge still.
Yeah, I mean, there were like the scenes where they're walking through the town, just like you said, he's making so much noise, you're waiting for a pack of zombies to run out after him.
Yeah, and granted, at this point, they're still somewhat in the South? They're definitely in the South. So obviously, a California girl, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my God. But then they get to California, and California is exactly what I would expect in a zombie apocalypse. On the highways they were driving on, I definitely felt like I recognized, unless they just did a really good job of making it look, because I don't think they filmed in California. So
I don't think they did, but that's the funny thing. Every movie that's filmed in California that is supposed to be in another place, they fuck up and put a palm tree, so you know instantly that they're not in the place they're supposed to be at. Georgia is a good substitute for most places. Now, I mean, those Georgia pines don't look right maybe necessarily for Southern California, but they probably are not too far out of place if you're talking about Northern California, because, I mean, you start getting back into like Oregon and Washington and how the trees there are pretty much the same. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't mind giving it a 5 just because, like, I love comedy. Horror and comedy are my two favorite genres, period, and comedy's dead. So thankfully horror is still around. But, like, I mean, so the comedy being so good in this movie, it's a good comedy to watch as long as you're, and I don't know that Daphne can handle this movie. I mean, she can handle, the horror in it is too much. So I think that it's a good mix for me, because it blends both the genres together well enough. That's the reason I really, like I said, I give it a 5, because they did. I mean, comedy is hard to pull off. Like, you can, if you're intentionally trying to make a comedy and you make it actually legit funny, and I still laugh at scenes in this movie, and I've seen it 1,000 times. So, I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to give both these movies 5s, but it's not going to be the case for the other comedy or horror comedies we'll probably cover this month, because, I mean, like I said, these were made so well, they blended so much of them. The other movies tend to air on one side or the other, and they don't get the mix right. Like, they're supposed to be a horror comedy, but they don't get, the comedy doesn't land, or the horror is not there.
It's just not the same. I think when you have such a big hit, such as these ones that we've had, or that we just reviewed, I think that, that's where it's like you have these expectations set, and it's just harder. I think it's harder when you have a goal to meet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree entirely. So we'll see how the other movies fare, and I don't know if you'll give too many more 5s, if at all, this season. But I can't. I can't blame you for trying to hold them back because that's the natural thing. It's like, well, anybody goes up to that and is basically admitting that they're not much of a critic, because it's like you don't have to nitpick everything apart. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, some of these movies horror in general is like looked frowned upon by every major critic just because it's like, they view it as like this redheaded stepchild, as bad as I hate that phrase, but like for obvious reasons. But it's always looked that way by critics, and they always pick it apart. So, we're already reviewing a hated upon genre by the uber critics. So we might as well give love to them that's missing from the idiots who can't see past what's going on.
Yeah. And look at here, just because I rated a 5 or the Reverend rates it a 5 doesn't mean that you have to. These are our personal ratings. I'm not going to rate something based on what Reverend rates it at. I'm going to rate, what does La Reina need in a film to make it perfection to me, that I can overlook any imperfections in the film, because no film's going to be perfect. But what is it about this film that's going to make it perfection to me that I can give it that perfect score that I think? And this one is it. It's always going to be, Jesus fucking Christ, Noah! Holy shit! Oh. You scared the fuck out of me, and you're naked! Yeah. You know how many zombies are naked in film? That shit is scary. We're talking about zombies right now. He left. He came to give me breakfast naked. We don't have kids at the house today. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
I just saw 2 eggs. Found 2 eggs. Oh my God. Sorry. Your ears are going to be ringing for the rest of the day.
That's fine. It didn't blow out my speakers or anything like that. So, so I don't feel bad that we gave these 5s. It's our review. People come up with whatever they want to say. They, if they don't like them, they don't like them.
Yeah, so. Like I said, you don't have to review what we're reviewing. You should not be listening to critics and being like, yeah, that is a 3, and that's what you should be able to be like. No, it's not a 3. It's actually a 4 because of this. So.
I do that all the time with critics. There's a lot of them that'll be hypercritical of something. It's like, okay, I get where you're trying to come from, but now you're just, I sometimes get that, from, the critique revolve. Because they get, they go a little bit too, into the critic mode. And it's like, come on, guys, you just admitted for the past 20 minutes that you like this film, but now you're nitpicking it apart just so you can have something to complain about.
Yeah, I feel like that happened to us during Stranger Things 4. Like, we really liked Stranger Things 4, but then we started kind of nitpicking. I think it was my husband that actually kind of nitpicked it real hard for us and got us thinking about things. And I think
what we did the worst on was Wednesday.
Yes.
But the plot falls apart so bad when you start really thinking about it. So I don't really feel too bad about that one.
I think that's one of the benefits of not being a professional critic, and look at if our podcast were to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's great, but I would like us to not be influenced by anything. I would like us to not be able to be influenced by money. I know people try real hard to stick to that, but then money starts talking. So, I'll shut up while I can. But what I'm getting at is that I think that the benefit of not being a professional movie critic is that you actually get to enjoy things a little more. I think when I was reviewing Star Wars so much, it got to the point where it wasn't enjoyable anymore.
Well, the problem with that, though, is that is a series that the longer you watch it, even as a casual fan that doesn't really get too critical about them, I just started to where I hated everything that was coming out because it was poorly thought out. The story just, the acting was bad. Rosario Dawson is like Ahsoka. She's just so lifeless, but that's a whole other separate critique. But that's contrast to what we thought about this. The characters have charisma for days in this film.
Oh yeah, well, technically both films, but
yeah, both of them. Yeah, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in particular became famous because they have such on-screen charisma. So it's one of those things where it's just you admitting that stuff and praising the film is not a bad thing just because you're not being hypercritical.
Yeah, definitely. So
Anyways, folks, we will be reviewing Zombieland Double Tap. We've kind of gave a little bit of a hint at what we think about it, but I do want to go back and rewatch it because I do like aspects of that film. But
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know, do we have anything else that we were going to cover? I mean, we mentioned Scooby Doo and Zombie Island. Is that we're going to do that during April Fools? I guess that'd be the best time to cover that.
Let me double check. I forgot what we said, and I definitely don't think I added it to our pinned message. But let me go to it real quick. So for April, okay, let me see here. Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland films. Yeah, I didn't add Scooby, but I forgot you did message me, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm not sure if it was Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. We could, though. Yeah. I think it'd be a good time.
I mean, I can't really think of another time to do that movie because, I mean, it's, you know,
I found it. Yes, and you did say April, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying I don't know of another time to really do that because, I mean, yeah, it might fit in with Halloween season, but at the same time, it's Scooby-Doo. It's played for laughs, at least. But that one, to be fair to it, actually, for the first time, introduced the real threats to the group that were like not just a monster or a person in a monster mask. I mean, that's why that one stands out amongst all the other ones.
Would you say it's scarier than World War Z?
I probably would if I went back. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I actually would probably say that.
Yeah, well, let's do it. So Zombieland next, and then Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo Zombie Island and Zombieland Double Tap.
Hell
the next ones we'll do. All right, folks. Well, that peace be with you.
And with your spirit.
So much